Welcome, folks, to the free GRE Prep Hour. What this is a bit of a marketing tool, but it's really indirect marketing. What we are doing is coming in here every couple of weeks or so on various nights to give you a free hour of GRE strategy. Now, we may be very particular. We'll go into one particular math concept or another. Sometimes we may be general and give you some overall study habits. Today's agenda is to talk about the wonderful world of text completions, which is how to deal with sentences with blanks in them and completing them. So we'll talk about that question type, some strategies for doing those questions on test day, as well as strategies for how do I use one of these to review and make my score better in the future, and then to review. So how to review it, how to learn some vocab. So it's going to be particular as far as the question type, but with any luck, pretty global as far as some study habits that you can gain just in a couple of days before, if you're taking the GRE in a couple of days, but also maybe some global habits if you have 6 months, ways in which you can look at a text completion and then do more with it. So that's our job today. So it's largely verbal today. Our last couple of free prep hours have been math. We'll definitely come back to math. But hey, verbal's half the test, and we need to know how it's done. So there we go. Zach, if you do me a favor and maybe send a private chat to A, also known as Amjad, about resetting his connection to ISDN, so it'll be a little bit more stable for him. So there we go. Hey, welcome. All right. So let's take a look at this. So our topic today is text completions. Oh, before I move on, I do want to talk to you a little bit about where all of these questions come from. So all of these questions are coming from our giant, beautiful book called the 5-Pound Book of GRE Practice Problems. I used this book pretty diligently and pretty religiously as I was studying for the GRE the last time I took it. I'd already been teaching for a really long time, and then I dove in and worked on my problem areas, which included text completions and sentence equivalents, as well as a couple of math concepts, and really dug in using this book. It's an amazing book. It's one of the biggest sellers out there, and it's full of lots and lots and lots of really good examples for you. So that's where this example is going to come out of. And so here, let's take an example of a text completion question. What is my job here? How would you describe what your task is on text completion? What am I supposed to do? Don't answer this. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do. Well, answer my question of what I'm supposed to do, but don't worry about answering this question. What am I like that. Find the word that makes the sentence make the most sense. How else? Select the word that best completes the sentence. I like the word best and most. I like these words that you all are giving me of best makes sense and most makes sense. All right, plug in the word that makes the most sense. All right, so best and most. And so I like that of like the best answer as opposed to the right answer. I like the most sense as opposed to the sense of the question. Right, and predicting all of that. So our job is to figure out which one of these works best in this sort of situation. Let's talk about this as one strategy that people do, and I want you to tell me what's wrong with this particular strategy. All right, patients who stopped taking antibiotics and symptoms subside contributed to the evolution of drug-resistant stains because an incomplete course of treatment spares the most widespread bacteria, spreads the most immature bacteria, spreads the most robust bacteria, spreads the most benign bacteria, spreads the most notorious bacteria. What's the problem with the strategy of reading the words into the sentence one at a time? I know this is what a lot of us do when we first start this, but widespread bacteria, immature bacteria, robust bacteria, benign bacteria, notorious bacteria, what's wrong with that strategy? It's confusing. It takes a lot of time. You allow yourself to be tricked. Awesome answers, folks. Really good. All right. They all sound, you could be swayed. It lacks the full context of the sentence. You got it. All right. So we know the bad strategy. We pick the one that sounds good. So we're going to get easily tricked by we've heard the word benign bacteria and widespread bacteria before. I don't think I've ever heard notorious bacteria. So I might be able to get rid of one, but 4 of these sound okay, so too many of them sound right, or one sounds right when another one is the best sense. So you're going to get way too easily tricked. So here's a little side strategy that I want to throw your way. Here's what we're going to do. Oh, by the way, I'm going to pop on the video for a second. Say hi. Here's me. Hello. By the way, logging into you from Wellington, New Zealand. So I'm on the other side of the planet from most of you right now. So where it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. So so my video is a little choppy because I have my bandwidth set really, really low so you don't miss anything. But I do want to show you Neil's favorite strategy for tackling text completions on the GRE. And here it is right there. This is my strategy. What am I doing? I am holding up my hand to the screen and I am physically covering my answers so I do not get tricked by these. So I am not going by sound. So what I'm going to do first for you all right now is I'm going to actually pretend I'm going to put a big pink box right over these answers, and so we're going to pretend that's your hand, and your hand is covering your answers. So I'm going to pop off the video now, and here we go. All right, so let's talk about a strategy. Since we are easily fooled by the answers, since we're easily tricked by the sound of the answers, and since reading the answers in takes too much time, what are we going to do? Well, you tell me what makes the most sense to do right now. Now that the answers are covered, what's left for us to do? Make a word prediction. I got to do something really important first. Really, really important. This is dumb, and I already kind of did it. Thank you, Nawana. All right, cool. I'm going to put this a little bit glibly as RTFS, which stands for read the full sentence. Yeah, full. That's what I want to say. Read the full sentence, people. So before I pick my own word, before I put my own word in here, I need to read the sentence. All right. Now, let's talk about reading for a second. Really reading. Tell me about, what's your favorite book? Give me a crap book that you really like. What's your favorite fiction book? Great Expectations, Harry Potter. So let's talk about Harry Potter for a second, for a moment. Let's talk Harry Potter for just a minute. Do you remember, what do you remember about reading Harry Potter? Do you remember the words on the page? What do you remember? Why was Harry Potter such an engaging read? What do you remember? You remember the story? Well, what else do you remember? Like if you close your eyes, do you see words? What do you see? So you got the story, you got the characters. If you close your eyes, you don't see words, you're seeing images and details and actions and people. Okay, so what we want to think about here when we're reading, really read, like really read. I mean, like read like you read, like read a book, like Emma Watson or Harry Potter or Big Griffin or Gryffindor or the Common Room, right? So what we want to think about genuinely reading is, and let me put this under the bullet of reading. When you are genuinely reading, I want you to see images. I want you to see details. I want you to see characters. I want you to see action of what's happening, people and action. So patients who stop taking antibiotics when symptoms subside. Ever been sick? Yes or no? Ever taken an antibiotic? Yeah, okay, so you are now the character, right? What do you see yourself doing at the beginning of this sentence? So what's the story? What's the plot? The character is you. What's the plot? You feel better. You stop taking the antibiotics. All right, so I want you to picture that. You feel better. You stop taking the antibiotics. So like there's pills left in the pill jar. So you picture the jar. Like right now, close your eyes, picture the little pill bottle, right, and picture a bunch of little antibiotics, and it says on the front you should finish taking the antibiotics, but I have to screw it. I feel better. I got 4 or 5 pills left, and I don't take them. All right. So notice I'm getting the plot of this. I'm getting the characters. I'm getting the images of this. I'm getting the details. I'm genuinely reading this as if this were interesting. I know it's not. But I know it's not interesting, but we need to pretend it is. So that's our game. All right, so patients who stop taking antibiotics. Or picture somebody, maybe not you, maybe your little brother or little sister who gets the flu and then they stop taking their pills when they feel better, and there's a jar, there's a jar full of pills left over. All right, so let's continue the plot. They contribute to the evolution of drug-resistant strains. So what do you picture happening inside their bodies? So what do you see going on? So we're just going to, they contribute to the, so the person is taking pills, they feel better, they stop taking pills, there's pills left. The robust, okay, so they contribute to the evolution of drug-resistant strains. That's interesting you said that, Sheila. So, yeah, what's happening inside their body? What do you picture happening? Oh, the worst ones haven't died, so the worst ones are getting stronger, right? So picture like go inside their body, picture inside the blood, the little squiggles of bacteria are getting bigger and stronger. Ew, gross. Okay, suddenly I've taken a boring statement and made it a little plot, right? So the worst ones haven't died, the weak ones die, the strong survive, right? So really strong bacteria are squiggling through your body. It's really disgusting. And now I've made it kind of interesting. A little gross, kind of interesting. All right, because an incomplete course of treatment stills the most blank bacteria. All right, cool. So a lot of us have talked about step 2, which is absolutely fill in your own word. All right, go ahead and do that. What word would you fill in there, in the blank? And we'll just have you do that and see how pretty much at this point you've got a picture, you've read the story. The incomplete course of treatment spares which bacteria? Fill in a word for me. Everyone give me a public one. It doesn't have to be, oh, by the way, it doesn't have to be the word in the answer. Powerful, harmful, resilient. I love this, man. These are great. All right, so do me a favor. Drop A, B, C, D, E on your scratch paper. Draw a line of it and put your fill in up top, like whatever yours was. So we said powerful. We said harmful. Now, here's my question for you. Why powerful? Why harmful? Why resilient? What was your clue for that? How did you know it was your harmful and powerful ones? There really always needs to be a clue here, but I'm always, okay, right. How did I know, right? Well, they got spared, but also how do I know it's the we're sparing, sometimes we spare the weak and the sick, sometimes we spare the whatever. How do we know we're sparing the most harmful ones? What words say resilient or harmful or powerful? Oh, okay, we got evolution, cool. And Sheila's onto something. How do we know they're strong? They are drug resistant. Da, 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 da. All right, so let's talk about getting there using some processes, as they say in Canada. All right, we're gonna do a little bit more of a process around this to make sure that we understand how to find that clue. And You often can intuitively get your word for the fill-in, but I want you to be clear as to why that clue makes, or why that fill-in makes sense. So what we're going to do is break this down a little bit further to lead to the fill-in. I do want to talk about three things we've been giving up in class all the time: target, clue, and pivot. Okay, so let me talk about what I'm doing here. The target is, if I could say anything about this, the target is, and I'm going to start typing this on the screen for you. Your target is what the blank is about, or what the blank is describing. All right, so is the thing right next to the blank. So what is the blank describing? The blank is describing a bacteria. Sweet, I love it. Okay, so I'm going to put a little box around that for that's my target. So the blank is describing bacteria. Where else do we talk about bacteria in this sentence? Where else do we talk about bacteria? What's another word for bacteria? Ooh, interesting, strains. So notice we have a parallel structure here. Bacteria, strains, a strain of bacteria, a bacteria. Ooh, interesting. All right, cool. So bacteria and strains. So we've identified the target. And what I mean by the target, again, is whatever the blank is describing. And then what else? And then the next question is the clue. How else is that target described? Well, in this case, what's right next to strains? Drug resistant. Yay. All right. So the target, what the blank is describing. The clue is what else describes that target. Or I'll just say what else describes that. And then the pivot, I'm going to look and see and make sure that I'm clear on what direction are we talking about. Are we talking same or opposite or what? All these little clues like but, yet, despite, however, would be my opposite direction pivot. What is a pivot that indicates a direction here? What's a word that indicates same or opposite direction in the sentence? Ooh, interesting. All right, so we've got this pivot here of because. Does that mean same direction or opposite direction because? Same. All right, cool. So we got conjunction, junction, what's your function here, or subordinating. And we've got because. All right, interesting. So we're talking same direction. All right. So this word here should mean, basically, if you want to fill this in, drug resistant. Ta-da. All right, so patients stop taking antibiotics and symptoms aside contribute to the evolution of drug-resistant bacteria because an incomplete course of treatment spares the most drug-resistant bacteria. Our test writers are actually, for the most part, this generous, this kind, this clear, and this structured. So where was my clue? Same part of the sentence or the other part of the sentence? Same half of the sentence as the blank or the other half of the sentence? Yeah, the other half. Okay. So if you're looking for the clue, look in the other half of the sentence. You can usually find it. But generally, I'm looking for, okay, this is describing bacteria. What else is describing bacteria? Oh, drug resistance is describing bacteria. So you intuitively, really well, said robust, resistant, powerful, harmful, nasty. Anything you've got, those all will work just fine. But the reason behind it is you kind of intuitively grok that structure of the sentence. I just want to make it really apparent. Drug-resistant strains, drug-resistant bacteria. We're looking for something that means drug-resistant. There we go. All right, so that's what led to our fill-in. Target, clue, pivot. What is a blank about? What else describes that? What direction are we talking about? Now I'm ready to rock POE. What does POE stand for, people who have been studying for standardized tests? Yay, thank you, Sheila. Process of elimination. You have written this on your scratch paper. This is all on your scratch paper. So we're about to ready to rock some process of elimination. Get your pencils up and ready. Here we go. Does widespread mean powerful or harmful? Yes, no, or maybe? No, not directly. Very good. Okay. Immature mean powerful or harmful? All right. Does robust mean powerful or harmful? Yeah, okay, cool. Yes, good. Benign? Nope. Okay, cool. And then notorious. What does notorious mean? Well, we'll say, all right, so let's go question yes, maybe, and let's go from here. Notorious B.I.G., that actually really helps. Yeah, well known, right? All right, good. All right, that helps me out a lot. Yeah, Shannon. All right. So it means kind of well known. Does well known mean powerful or harmful? No. Okay. So if you knew that, fine. If you didn't, I do want to talk about reviewing that in a minute. So what's your best and favorite answer? A, B, C, D, or E? Okay, cool. All right. So we're good. So that's doing. And one more thing before I pick my final answer is I want to verify. I want to make sure that the word I picked, so let's say I picked A, or I'm down between A and I'm down between C. All right, I'm down between widespread and robust. I've crossed off immature, benign, and notorious. So let's say I'm between A and C. We need to verify that the one I picked has a very strong clue attached to it. All right. Widespread or robust. So let's put our finger on this clue here. Resistant. Are resistance things more widespread or are they more robust? Yeah, okay, so that's easy. Are there any indications here? Is there anything here that is a clue? So, Karen, you like widespread. Why? What is your clue for widespread? Can you put your finger on a word here that means widespread? All right, drug resistant. All right, so resistant. Tell me, what does resistant mean? And we're going to play around with that. Like, we're often down to 2, and I'm more than patient with this, and this is part of the game. We're going to be down to 2 a lot here. To take a stand against something. All right, cool. So if you're down between 2, what I would do right now is go ahead and pick an answer. Commit to A or commit to C. All right, cool. To stand against something. If you're resistant, you're standing against something. And you pick your answer, then I might go, and part of the reviewing process of looking over something, I've committed to an answer. Most of us pick C, some of us pick A, maybe you wanted D, whatever, all good, no problem there. Let's go now and let's real quickly go out and let's look up some words here. Everybody who picks C, do me a favor and go open up a Firefox window or a Google window somewhere, and I want you to give me the definition of widespread. And Garen, I would love for you to give me the definition of robust. And actually, let's go Sarah, Shannon, Sheila, and Wong if you'll give me the definition of robust also. So go look up some definitions for me. All right, wide, found over a large area number of people. Beautiful, so that's widespread. Cool. And what does robust mean? healthy and vigorous, strong and rich. All right. Okay, so we got widespread distributed over a large area. Cool. And then we've got robust is strong, rich, healthy, vigorous. Okay, so which one is more likely to take a stand against something? Something over a large, spread out over a large area, or something that is strong and healthy? Yeah, okay, strong and healthy, you're going to be. So drug resistant, if you're drug resistant, you're a pretty healthy dude, pretty strong and healthy, pretty more robust, and there we go. All right, how are we doing on the vocab on this one? Any vocab you want to, that you think you didn't know? Any words here? By the way, this is all about being honest. Any vocab words you don't know on this set? And Garen, are you okay on the looking up the words on that one? We look up the words and we see, oh, so to be drug resistant is you know, pretty strong, take a strong stand against something, better robust than the other one. Yeah. How are we doing on vocab? Any vocab anyone wants to go look up or? Okay, cool. I'll take it. All right, so there we go. So what we've got is our global strategy. Read, and I mean really read. Go ahead and read. Engage in it. And if you haven't engaged in it, take a second and figure out, all right, what's my character? What's happening to my character here? Take a second and fill in. While we are reading and filling in, this is where I want to think about, all right, what's that blank about? What else talks about that blank? What direction are we going in? All right, so target, clue, pivot. All of this leads into filling in the right thing. We cross off some wrong answers, and make sure your answer matches a clue. Is everything evolved spread out over the, is everything that's evolved really widespread necessarily? No, okay, so you can be evolved and pretty narrow, right? There's a lot of very rare things, like very rare orchids and sharks and whatnot that have evolved, but they're very rare and evolved. But there's to be strong, yeah, drug resistant, that's to be robust. Okay, cool, we'll take it. Let's go knock on another one. All right, so what do we do before I even start my process? Before I even read. Ah, good. So make sure your hand's over those answers, and let's see what we can do here. So I want you to engage in this. I want you to read this genuinely. And then I want you to do what you can to fill in your own word for me. And so try that. I'm just going to have you do on your own. We'll talk about target, clue, pivot. We'll talk about structure. We'll talk about all of those things. But more than anything, I want you to just go ahead, get to filling in your own words. So I'm going to shut off my mic for just a minute while you do that. Somebody help Amanda out. Everybody, what does POE stand for? Help Amanda out before we go. All right, cool. Process of elimination. All right. It's the standardized testing thing. If you do not use POE, you are not maximizing your score. So give me what words you would pick. Actually, I'm going to say for the most part, we may have missed it. I want you to read the whole sentence again. Remember where I said to look for your clue? And try some more. Now we're getting something. Got it. There we go. All right, cool. That's it. There we All right, cool. So let's take a look at this and where we go. All right. So even the blank and alluring charms of Paris were not sufficient to cure the young expatriate of his yearning for the simple and quaint charms of his rural American home. All right. So who's our character? That's where we are. That's our setting. Yeah, we got our young expat, right? Our young guy from the country. I'm picturing, even though that's kind of rude, but like I'm picturing him in like jeans and like a farmer's jacket or something like that. All right, he got a rural American home, so he's just an American guy. He's wearing a baseball cap. He's wearing, you know, John Deere baseball cap, and he's come from a rural American home, and he's wandering around Paris. Okay, so I got a nice little, and our setting is Paris, and that's nice. So picture that, a young guy walking around. All right, cool. And but he's yearning for something. Okay, so let's take a look. He's yearning for. So let's talk about target, clue, pivot. All right. So one, we read the sentence. We got a nice little character. The guy is wandering around Paris, kind of sad. Let's talk about target, clue, pivot. What is the blank describing? The blank is describing. The target is Paris. All right. So the blank is describing the something charms of Paris. Great. Okay, so what else, how else is Paris described? Or how else are town, places? Yeah, okay, so blank and alluring charm. So both of those are describing Paris. Okay, but let's talk about the rest of the story. What else is going on in this story? But now he wants something. He's yearning for something. What is he yearning for? Simple and quaint. All right, cool. Simple and quaint charms. And actually, if you say, by the way, that the actual target is not Paris itself, but if you say the actual target, be more specific about what the target is. The blank is describing not just Paris, but what about Paris? Ooh, the charms of Paris. Okay. If you look at that, we may be able to see that, oh, look, how else are charms described? Simple and quaint. So look at the structure here, and this is really cool. Don't get distracted by alluring. Do not get distracted by alluring. I want you to be looking at this structure here. Remember, also, what direction are we talking? Same or opposite? How do we know opposite? Okay, we got even. I like that. That's a very important one. What else? Oh, and not sufficient. All right, cool. So, and not enough. All right. Also, so I like the opposite in a positive way, Sheila. That's a really good way of putting it. Like, you've got blank and alluring, which are both kind of positive, but even this good thing isn't enough. Right? So even whatever good side is not enough. I will let you know that the real GRE is amazingly nice about making alluring and quaint kind of match. And then, you know, there's some definitional matches, but also this and this. All right. So simple and quaint. So quaint in its own little charm. And then there's an alluring charm. So those are sort of opposites each other. So frankly, what's the opposite of simple? Complicated. The GRE is this straight up about the structure. Blank and alluring, simple and quaint. We're looking for opposites, so complicated. All right. But also complicated in a not quaint way. And what's the opposite of kind of rural? Yeah, how would we say sort of not simple in a rural? Yeah, all right, so urban, sophisticated, cosmopolitan, something like that. But I do want to get to this idea of it's opposite of simple. Right? So let's focus on really opposite of simple as we do our POE. So get A, B, C, D, C on your scratch paper, and we are going to put complex here as our answer. Okay, so we want complicated. Lascivious. All right, now here's how I want you guys to answer. I'm going to put this in the chat window. If it's a clear, oh my God, yes, let's put, give me a Y. If it's a clear, oh my God, no, give me a no. If it's a, I don't know, give me a tilde or a maybe. And if you have no idea what the word means, give me a question mark. Now be honest about, we're going to run into a ton of question marks. So yes, no, maybe, question mark to A, as far as lascivious. All right, so we got no question mark, kind of no-ish, not quite, right? Yeah, I don't really know what that means, but maybe not. All right, the sophisticated. Yes, no, maybe. Yeah, okay, so yeah, we really like that one, solid. Foreign. Is that necessarily complicated? All right, I've been to some foreign countries that were not very complicated. I've been to some foreign countries that are very complicated, but really depends on where. I'm in a foreign country right now, not complicated. New Zealand, green things. That's where I am right now. All right, alien, does that mean complicated necessarily? All right, cool. Alienating. Yeah, okay, what's our favorite one then? Even if I didn't know all the answer, even if I didn't know all the words, what's our best one? Yeah, okay, so we like sophisticated. All right, cool. So we've done it. We picked an answer. We're relatively confident. Now, here's what I would do. Do not go look up your answers when you're done. I want to emphasize how to review. This is what you would do on test day. You read it. You've looked at the structure. All right, what else are charms of Paris, charms of rural? Okay, so complex and alluring, simple and quaint, sophisticated is complicated in a not very rural way. Oh, I like that. Okay, cool. All right, seems pretty close. All right, oh, and then one more thing. Let's verify. All right. And then I look at sophisticated and I go, oh yeah, all right, so Paris, not rural, sophisticated is opposite of simple and quaint. Yeah, I'm cool on that. So let's talk about your review process. Let us look up the words. What words are tough here, specifically? What word did we not like? So we didn't like A. All right, so go look up lascivious for me. I love that word. Everybody, go look up that word. Not just, I know you're doing it, I know you're taking some time, but some of you are just waiting for everyone else to do it. Yeah, feeling or revealing an overt and often offensive sexual desire, right? So feeling a sexual interest or like being really out loud about it, right? Yeah, it means lewd, inclined to lustfulness. All right, cool. So lewd and lascivious, and all right. So people who not only are feeling lustful, but talking about it, it's just kind of a creepy way. Like it's just kind of why don't right? It's not just being sexually interested, which all power to you, but like also revealing it and being kind of offensive about it. All right, gave her a lascivious wink. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about that. So that was a word that a majority of us had a question mark next to. So we're going to actually go off, and while I'm doing this, did I even spell that even close to correctly? Lascivious. Yeah, okay, lascivious. All right. So let's talk about what I would do at this point. I would add this to my notebook, but I would also maybe go ahead and make a flashcard or a notebook. But I also want to do a little bit of work on this. So flashcard, notebook. So things that might go on my flashcard are in my notebook, or my definition. Now I want to take a minute with the definition and not just cut and paste it out of the. So we got like feeling or revealing an overt or an often offensive sexual desire. So notice about 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 of you gave me the cut and pasted definition. Great, good. So that's step 1, but that doesn't help me. So I would love for everybody here to give me a paraphrase or a really down-to-earth way of saying, feeling, or revealing an overt or often offensive sexual desire, or inclined to lust. Well, give me a really down-to-earth way of saying it. Even slang, even whatever. Harvey Weinstein. All right, I love it. Creeping. That to me is, all right. Yeah, so creeping, sexually attracted, all right, you know, lusty or lustful, lustful in a creepy way, right? Lecherous. Ooh, I like that. Lecherous. Okay, cool. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a second and yeah, all right. So we have the definition. We also have the sentence or the phrase in which that came up, a lascivious wink. So we had a sentence that came up, and I love that. Also, we have some characters, and we have some associations with this that are already coming up, right? So Shamar Moore came up, Weinstein came up, right? So things are coming up as you start thinking about this, like, who do you actually maybe even personally know that's kind of lascivious? Who does this make you think of, especially in common parlance? What have you seen on Facebook that was kind of lascivious lately? Whether that, you know, Harvey Weinstein and the like. All right, so without weighing in too much, what we're doing is we're making some associations with that right off the bat. Notice what we're doing is we're doing all the heavy lifting right now. All of this heavy lifting of thinking about Shamar Moore, thinking about Harvey Weinstein, putting it in a sentence, translating that, is going to make it so much easier to remember. The one more thing I do want to do before I move on is I may want to make it that much more likely to remember. So what I want to do is work on making a mnemonic right now. And let's talk about making a mnemonic. It takes a little bit of effort, but maybe 10 seconds of effort, but it's, oh my God, it's so worth it. So what we've got is the word, lascivious. I need that word to create an image. So before I go, I'm going to put my big pink hand up over all this stuff right now. And if you didn't know what lascivious meant, if you had no idea what lascivious meant, what does lascivious look like or sound like or remind you of? We got this word. What does this look like? What does it sound like? What does it remind you of? Anything, especially if it has nothing to do with the definition, but it kind of rhymes with something or looks like something or... Insidious, vicious lashes. I like these. All right, lasso. All right, cool. So vicious lashes, lasso. Ooh, okay. I might go with the, right, mischievous, Mount Vesuvius. Okay. So notice your images that you're coming up with are all really vivid, all really visual. I just want this word to sound like or look something. So what I want to do here, a word, an image, and so that word sounds like, and I'm going to go with this idea of vicious lashes or viscous lashes. We've got lashes and then vicious. All right, so imagine now what I want you to do is to create a link to that definition. All right, so we've got lassos or Mount Vesuvius. So have somebody standing on Mount Vesuvius doing this. Sieve filter. Ooh, I like these. All right. So whatever you did, what we need to do is we need to get that image somehow linked to Harvey Weinstein. So if your image was, this reminded you of Mount Vesuvius, I want you to have Harvey Weinstein standing on Mount Vesuvius, batting his vicious lashes at somebody in a really overtly sexual and lust-filled way. Or that you have, using Alex's word, that we have Harvey Weinstein giving a lascivious wink, but holding a sieve filter in his hand for no apparent reason. or somebody standing on Mount Vesuvius, or somebody doing something in an insidious way. So we've made some associations, but I need that word to generate those associations that will then link to that definition. Weinstein batting his lashes at Britney Spears. Beautiful, Sheila. All right, so there we go. I like Sheila's right there. We're going to use that one. All right, that is awesome. So Weinstein batting his lashes at Britney Spears while standing on Mount Vesuvius holding a vicious sieve. Smiley faces if you're with me. I'm making that mnemonic. What does the word sound like? And sometimes it really helps. Let's fast forward a little bit here. Let's go to 1. And what is a word here, just to be honest with me, that you just really don't know what it actually means? We got law. All right. Cool. All right. So we got mendacious. So we got lauded and we got mendaciously. So let's go and more of us said mendacious, so let's go with mendacious. Lee, so let's cut the Lee off of that and just talk about mendacious. All right. So without knowing what the word means, let's get an image. And we'll get through the definition, but what does that word sound like to you? What are some of the, like, all right, so we're mending something, and Gregor Mendel is mending something. What is he mending? What is somebody mending? All right, so we're mending ferociously. All right, cool. So we've got audacity, or we're mending audaciously. All right, so mending ferociously or mending audaciously. All right, so we've got an image, right? We're really engaging that visual cortex, and we've got somebody who's mending a pair of socks in a really audacious and ferocious way. All right, so you got a weird, screwy image that probably has nothing to do with the definition. Great, yay, we're on to something. Here we go. Mending ferociously and in an audacious way. Now, do me a favor, and I need for you to go look up the definition. Okay, so the definition, in my own words, is lying and untrue or false. Right, so a mendacious liar, somebody who lies and untrue and is false. Now, the link that you put here, all right, so we've got our image here, is somebody ferociously and audaciously lying. All right, now we need to do a link. Now, all I can do is have this person mending ferociously, and then they lie and they say they're done. And then they lie about it, right? They hold it up and say, hey, I'm done. All right. That's one way of making it. All right, so they say I'm done, and they're totally lying about it. They grow a Pinocchio nose. I love it. They're like really visual Brooklyn. I like that. So notice Brooklyn has added a real visual indicator that they're lying, or they're a used car salesman. Okay, cool. So right now I've set the chat so everything only goes to me. Who to you, and it's okay, I will do no judgments one way or other on the political spectrum whatsoever. Who to you is the most lying person in the world? Who lies the most? It's only private, only I'll see it. Who to you is the worst liar on the planet right now? I have to do this privately because people get mad at each other. You know. Which politician, if you're saying vaguely politicians right now, all right. Which one? A lot of people are saying politician. Which one are you talking about? And again, some people think it's Trump, some people think it's Hillary, some people think it's Obama, some people think it's George Bush, some people think it's, you know, somebody else. There's a lot of different, whichever side of the political spectrum you're on, you think the other side lies. That's fine. Okay. That is okay. It's all about it. So whoever you are there, that's good. So now, keep it private. Who is mending ferociously and audaciously? Who's sewing things up? Who in your image? All right, so you've taken that association and we've said that image is now whatever politician you chose who you disagree with, that's the person mending their socks or or sewing up things, like trying to sew up whatever controversy they had. All right, cool. Sewing tales of deceit. I love that, somebody said. That's great. All right, so they're mending tales of deceit. Cool. All right, so somebody is mending ferociously. All right, cool. I love the sewing tales of deceit there. Cool. All right, so I love your mnemonics that you came up with privately. So there you go. Like, who is the biggest liar in the world? Now I've got it. They're mending. All right, so that's you creating a mnemonic device that you will now never forget what mendacious means. So what does mendacious mean? You can say it. You can come back to me. Come back to the public room. All right. So lying. Yeah, we're done. Okay. What does lascivious mean? Lewd and lustful. Harvey Weinstein. Lecherous. Beautiful. Ta-da. There you go. Sweet. All right. So that's creating. So this is all part of you and your process of getting better at the GRE. You don't just do things and check your answers. You do things. You pick your answers. You look up the words. Then you make sure after you look up the words, all right, am I confident with that? Notice I still haven't checked my answers yet. All I'm doing is I do it. I pick an answer. I look up the words I don't know. I make mnemonics out of the words I don't know. I go back and I say, does lascivious work better? No, it doesn't really work better, so I'm going to stick with sophisticated. And then you go look up your answers after you've done all of that work. It's just putting more roadblocks in your way before you look up your answers. Before I look at my answers, I'm going to look up the words. Before I look at my answers, after I look up the words, I'm going to make mnemonic devices. I'm actually going to write something down about these. I'm going to do some homework on these. So I've done all this effort. Looking at your answer right or wrong is very, very satisfying. It's like giving yourself a little reward. It's always a little, it's a nice little relief. If you want some B.F. Skinner psychology to this, don't give yourself that reward until you've done all the hard effort. So there we go. Let's do like a total nasty 3 blank one. All right. Let's talk about multiple blanks here. All right, so what's easier, thinking about one thing at a time or 3 things at a time? All right, one thing at a time. So let's do this together, but I am going to give you some time. So what we're going to do, let me just talk about the process before we start, and then we'll do this as a group. We're going to do the process, but what we're going to do is RTFS. We're going to read the full sentence, and then we're going to fill in a blank, pick an answer, confirm it, and then we're going to fill in a blank, pick an answer, confirm it, and then we're going to fill in a blank, pick an answer, and confirm it. So we're going to kind of keep going back, but once I've got a blank filled in, then I am going to, once I got a blank filled in, I'm going to go answer the question and make sure I'm right before I go on to the other blanks. So that's what we're going to do as a group, but for now, let's read the whole sentence. So I'm going to turn off the mic. Don't fill anything in until you get to the last bullet here. So don't fill anything in until you get to the last period here. Read the whole sentence. All right, so read the whole sentence. That's your only job. All right, so let's talk about choosing a blank. A lot of you had, after the end of this, you get to the whole end of this and you go, because if I start reading this, the professor made her blank tendencies clear to the hiring committee. If I stop there, I have no idea what word. It could be her diligent tendencies, her lascivious tendencies, there's a lot of tendencies you can make clear to your hiring committee, depending on how you go on this. So I got to read the whole sentence to get there. And even at this point, the extent and consistency of her blank was still a surprise to many who voted to approve her hiring. We still don't know what she is. We still have no idea. So we got to keep reading at this point. She persistently challenged the academic methods and the institutional procedures of her department and of her university as a whole, going so far as to advocate for the blank of inherently elitist institutions of higher education in the name of democratizing education. Okay, so what blank really makes the most sense to fill in first? Like 1, 2, or 3? In your brain, which one do you like the most first? Cool, let's go with blank 3. Looks like a lot of people are saying, so what is she advocating? If she's challenging the academic methods and institutional procedures, she is advocating for the what of inherently elitist institutions? Okay. Elimination and end. All right, so let's say end and elimination. So what I'm going to do on my scratch paper, by the way, is I'm going to do this. I'm going to mark out what we have here, and we put end here. How do we know we are ending elitist institutions? How do we know we are removing? All right, so we're democratizing education. How do we? All right, and she challenged the methods. Okay, so we know that she's challenging the methods. She's democratizing. So notice, like, so she wants to democratize, so she's going to do what to elitist things, okay? So in the name of, right? Oh, and going so far, that's pretty far. All right, so that's a nice little pivot clue. She goes so far as advocate. So if she's going to democratize, we need to get rid of elitist things. If you want to be more democratic, you get rid of the elites. Yay. All right, so we're going to end. All right, so let's pick end. Let's find end. Does abolition mean end? Yeah, sure. Okay. Does enshrinement mean end? Nope. All right. If you put something in a shrine, all right, or we don't know, but you can use your roots here, right? Your enshrinement, you put something on a shrine. Okay, so that probably isn't being getting rid of. Mitigation. What is mitigate? Well, yes, no, maybe. Let's just say no, okay, or question mark, depending if you don't know it. All right, cool. So I think we're ready. We're done with blank 3. Okay, so let's go back to blank 2. The extent and consistency of her blank. So let's talk about the target. What is the blank describing? The blank is describing whose views? Her. The blank is describing her. All right. Notice how the blank is describing her. How do we know the blank is describing? It's right there. The blank is describing her. All right. So her views, her plans, her whatever, but just mostly her. Keep it simple. The target is her. How else is she described elsewhere? So now when we look at her, we got her and her. How else is she described? Okay. So she, so her, she persistently challenged. All right. So notice how, like, this idea on these clue is we got a really strong clue that she is really challenging. All right. So she persistently challenged. All right. So let's pick a word. If I would fill in any word for this, for step 2, I would do this is challenging. Kind of person. Ta-da. All right. Iconoclasm. Yes, no, I don't know. All right, so what are they? Theories mean challenging. Does a theory mean challenge? A theory? Does that mean you're somebody who challenges a lot of people? Does it directly mean, does theory, here's the thing, let's get it out on GRE. Does a theory directly and always challenge the establishment? No. Okay, cool. I want to make this crystal clear. Don't make it work. Right? You know, Tim Gunn in Project One Way, make it work. No, don't make it work. Don't stretch a definition to fit. It might be her theory here, but don't make it fit. A theory does not necessarily challenge the establishment. We know she challenges the establishment. And if it doesn't directly challenge, if it's not, she's really, really, really challenging, cross it off. Do intelligent people always challenge the establishment? Now, what do we have left? All right, we have iconoclasm. Even if we don't know what it means, don't take a nicer word and make it fit. Her theory might be challenging. They might not be challenging. In a lot of cases, now the theory of gravity is not challenged very often. The theory of evolution, 99.999% of scientists don't find it challenging. Some people do. Whatever. There's other theories that are challenging, right? Well, we are. Wait, Rhonda, why challenge our focus word and not something that describes what she did? Well, what did she do? Rhonda? She? It says we are focusing on what she did. Yeah, she challenged. All right. So, no, your question answered itself. It's a great question. I love that question, by the way. Awesome question. Very good question. So your answer is like, why not something that describes what she did? Yeah, that is the behavior. She persistently challenged the academic methods and procedures of her department. She just always, what's another word for challenging as to how we would describe her? Be nice. But like, what kind of person persistently challenges the establishment? Ooh, oppositional. I like that. Oppositional, rebellious. Right? Yeah, she's really rebellious, non-conforming. All right. So I would say opposite of dogmatic, right? In that, like, she's always going against. She is dogmatic, but she's dogmatic in a kind of going against dogma kind of way. I like that, Rhonda. But as long as you've got in a picture of dogmatic of like her own points of views and everyone else is wrong. Cool. I like it, yeah. So as long as I like that word a lot, especially if you're like, she's super dogmatic and everyone who disagrees with her is terrible and she needs to dismantle the whole system. All right, cool. So what kind of tendencies did she have? Yeah, challenging, oppositional, rebellious. All right, same thing. We're looking for the same direction, right? So she made her clear. They were still surprised at the extent of how. All right, so intellectual, is that necessarily challenging and rebellious? All right. Illiberal versus heterodox. Okay, well, let's talk about illiberal. Yeah, okay, so not really illiberal, okay. Hetero, as far as like as a prefix, usually means what? Not necessarily, Sam. We'll talk about it. Yeah, diverse odox. All right, cool. So different odox. All right. Hetero as in different, as in not the same. Different odox as opposed to orthodox, which means like you really firmly believe. Heterodox is like you go against doxy. Opposite of orthodox. All right, is that rebellious? Yes, no, maybe, question mark. Yeah, okay. There we go. Cool, I think we got it. Heterodox, iconoclasm, not enshrinement, excuse me, but abolition. Okay, cool. All right, I like it. What words do we want to go look up on your own? We're a little bit over time, so I want you to go look over what we're. Heterodox is one, illiberal, and iconoclasm. All right, so these are three words I might go. And again, the word, I might start with icon, chasm or clasm or icon clash. All right, so, you know, iconoclasm, I might look at like the link, what it reminds me of is sort of a clashing icon. Anybody look it up yet? Iconoclasm? Yeah, also going against cherished values. So it's like not only beliefs, but also beliefs that go against, right? So that was why, you know, I forget, I think it was Rhonda talked about like dogmatic. Like iconoclastic is dogmatically against cherished values, like you're always rejecting. You are dogmatic about it, but generally dogmatically rejecting stuff. So if you picture icon Clash, like maybe you picture the band of the Clash singing London Calling and they're very iconoclastic. Or maybe you pick Britney Spears as an iconoclast and like have her shaving her head because she's such a rebel. You know, whatever you have to do with your mnemonic device there, right? So make your mnemonic device. Scrooge there, right, is now an icon who's clashing against and he's rebelling against cherished beliefs. So there we go. Okay, folks, that's me for the day. Just want to remind you of the strategies, but also a little bit about reviewing. You really get in depth in this. You read it like you would read anything. Get the story of it. Understand it. Start parsing out target, clue, pivot. Fill in your own word, POE, verify against that clue. And then when you are done and you're pretty clear on your answer, for homework to get better at this, go look up your words, make some mnemonic devices, try that thing again, see whatever you missed there. All right. You're awesome. Let me wrap up here, first of all. All right, manhattanprep.com/GRE/classes. That is your place to go. Any of our first sessions of any of our classes is free, so you get more about reading comprehension and what is it called, quantitative comparison. If you want to come to any of those, so please go to manhattanprep.com. Keep an eye out for future free GRE sessions. You're awesome. I'm going to hop on the mic and wave goodbye. Have a great day, and I will see you hopefully sometime soon. Bye. Take care.